You were never just the oldest. You were the example, the responsible one, the one who was supposed to know better, the one who figured it out first so everyone else didn't have to. And somewhere between being a child and being the one everyone leaned on, nobody stopped to ask how you were doing. If you're a firstborn, this video is going to say the thing nobody in your family ever said to you. You carried too much, and you were never supposed to carry it alone. There was a moment, you might not even remember it clearly, where everything changed. Before the younger ones arrived, you were the center. Every milestone yours, every first celebrated, every achievement noticed. And then someone else came, and the attention, not all of it, but enough of it, moved. Psychologists call this dethronement. The moment the firstborn child is displaced from their position as the sole focus of parental attention. And research by Alfred Adler, one of the founding fathers of psychology, found that this moment leaves a mark that shapes the firstborn's personality for life. But here's what makes it complicated. Nobody did anything wrong. Your parents still loved you. Your siblings needed care. Life just moved forward. But you, as a child with no framework to process this, learned something quietly in the background. You learned that love has to be earned through usefulness, that the way to stay important is to become needed. At some point, your siblings stopped seeing you as just a brother or sister. They saw you as something closer to a parent. When they were scared, they came to you first. When they needed advice, you were the one they called. When something went wrong at school, when a relationship fell apart, when they needed money, when they needed someone to talk to at midnight, it was you. Not your parents. You, and you showed up every single time. Because that's what you do. That's who you are. That's the role that was handed to you so early you can't even remember a time before it. Psychologists call this parentification, when a child is placed, consciously or unconsciously, in a caretaking role that belongs to an adult. And research shows firstborns experience this more than any other birth position. You became a parent before you were ever finished being a child. Here's what nobody sees about firstborns. The burden doesn't stop when the day does. You help your sibling with their problem and then lie awake at night still thinking about it. You sort out the family conflict and then carry the aftermath alone. You hold everyone else's emotions and then have nowhere to put your own. Because here's the cruel irony of being the strong one. Nobody thinks to check on you. Your younger siblings assume you're fine because you always seem fine. Your parents trust you because you've never given them a reason not to. And you, trained from childhood to manage and cope and figure it out, are so good at appearing okay that the people who love you most genuinely don't know you're not. Research by Dr. Kevin Leman, author of the Birth Order book, found that firstborns are significantly more likely to internalize stress, suppress emotional needs, and develop perfectionist tendencies, not from personality alone, but from years of being the one who wasn't allowed to fall apart. And then there's the expectation. Firstborns are statistically more likely to be high achievers, more likely to go to university, more likely to be leaders in their careers, more likely to be described as responsible, reliable, and mature beyond their years. And from the outside, that sounds like a compliment, but from the inside, it feels like a cage, because the expectation arrived before you were old enough to choose it. You didn't decide to be the responsible one. You were assigned it. And once a family assigns you a role, once your siblings see you a certain way, once your parents rely on you a certain way, stepping outside that role feels like a betrayal. So you keep performing it, year after year, long past childhood, into adulthood, into your career, into your relationships. You become the person who takes on too much, says yes when you mean no, carries other people's weight without being asked, and then quietly resents the fact that nobody ever carries yours. Being the firstborn leaves specific marks. You struggle to ask for help, not because you're proud, but because you genuinely don't know how. Nobody modeled receiving help for you. You were always on the giving end. You feel responsible for other people's emotions. If someone in the room is upset, some part of you immediately calculates whether it's your fault and what you can do to fix it. You have a complicated relationship with rest. Doing nothing feels wrong.
Relaxing feels selfish. Taking up space just for yourself feels like something you haven't quite earned yet.
And your relationships, romantic, friendships, professional, tend to follow the same pattern you learned at home. You give more than you receive. You show up more than people show up for you. And you tell yourself that's just who you are. But it isn't who you are. It's who you were trained to be. Your younger siblings got to be younger siblings. They got to make mistakes and have someone older to catch them. They got to be irresponsible sometimes. They got to fall apart and have you there to hold things together. You didn't get that. You were the net. You were the one who caught. You never got to fall and find out someone would catch you too. And that is a real loss. Not a dramatic one. Not one you can point to easily. But a real, quiet loss that deserves to be acknowledged. You were a child who was asked to carry adult weight. And you did. Not because you had to, but because you loved your family enough to show up for them before you even understood what showing up cost you. That is not weakness. That is not something to be ashamed of. That is one of the most quietly extraordinary things a person can do. You are allowed to put it down. Not the love, you will always love them. Not the care, that is part of who you are. But the weight, the obligation, the feeling that everyone else's okayness is your personal responsibility. The belief that your needs matter less because you were born first. You can put that down. You were the firstborn. You were given a role before you could understand it. You carried it longer than anyone should carry anything. But you are not just the oldest. You are not just the responsible one. You are not just the one everyone leans on. You are a person who deserves to be taken care of too. If this video felt like it finally saw you, subscribe. Every week we get into the psychology behind the things you feel but can't quite explain. I'll see you in the next one.